You guys, listen. I need to say this one out loud, because I have been sitting with it for 2 days and it is eating me alive. David did not hide what he was. He told us. He told us in every caption, every repost, every lyric, every smug little meme he dropped on his timeline at 2 in the morning, and we all sat there with our coffee and we scrolled right past the confession. I repeat. He confessed. We just thought it was content. And the reason I am saying this today, the reason I had to come back and record this video for the 4th time because YouTube keeps moving the bar on what I can and cannot say, is because every single person in those comment sections is asking the same wrong question. They are asking, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with him? What is wrong with him? Baby, that is the wrong question. The right question, the question that is going to keep you up tonight when you finally close this app, is how did he tell us for 2 whole years and not a single one of us hurt him? Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And by the end of this video, you are going to be looking at that man's old posts like you are reading a diary. A diary written by somebody who already knew how this story was going to end, and was laughing at us the entire time. And before anybody jumps in the comments with the usual, well you cannot read minds, Tisa, you do not know what was in his head, save it. I am not reading his mind. I am reading his timeline. I am reading what he chose to publish under his government name with his blue check next to it on a platform owned by Elon. That is not psychoanalysis. That is screenshots. That is receipts. That is 40 terabytes of evidence the LAPD did not have to imagine because he handed it to them on a silver tray with a bow on top. So let us get into it. We are going to walk through the mirror. We are going to pull up the receipts. And I want you to keep one phrase in your head the whole time we do this. Truth said in jest. Truth said in jest. Because that is the entire framework of this man's mind, and once you understand that, every weird little post he ever made stops being random, and starts being a map. Let me set the table real quick. For the people who just walked in here and have no idea why I am this fired up. David Burke, the public figure, the man with the eyeliner and the tour with the coffins, has been formally tied to the killing of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. 13 when she went missing. 14 when her body was pulled out of the trunk of his Tesla, dismembered, bagged, decomposed for months while he was on the road performing songs about jealousy and betrayal in front of thousands of children with blood splattered on their shirts. He did not just kill her. He kept her. He drove her around. He sat on top of her in traffic. He did meet and greets while she was in the back. That is not a man who panicked. That is a man performing. And that is the door I want to walk you through today. Because every conversation I see online is stuck in the same loop. People going, oh he just snapped. Oh he was scared, his career was on the line, he panicked. No. Stop. Stop letting that man's lawyers write the narrative for you before the trial even starts. The panic theory is the gift the defense is begging you to accept. The panic theory turns a predator into a kid who made a mistake. The panic theory shaves 20 years off his sentence. The panic theory lets the manager, the streamer friend, the inner circle, the people who watched a 13-year-old in Hello Kitty pajamas walk in and out of that house, all walk away clean. So we are not doing panic theory today. We are doing mirror theory. And the mirror is his own timeline. And the timeline is the only honest thing about him. Let me be even more specific so nobody can twist what I am saying. Mirror theory does not mean every weird artist is a killer. Mirror theory does not mean every dark joke is a confession. Mirror theory is this. When a person's public output and a person's private behavior start pointing in the same exact direction, at the same exact target, in the same exact emotional key, that is no longer a coincidence. That is a signal. And when nobody around the signal is willing to read it, the signal becomes a body. In this case, it became Celeste. Say her name. Celeste Rivas Hernandez. 13. Then 14. Then gone. Start with the post that made my stomach drop. The one about pouring boiling water on a girl because she told another boy happy birthday. He framed it as a joke. A meme. A parody of a controlling boyfriend. Everybody in the replies laughing, haha so toxic, haha so unhinged, haha king of the edgelords. Nobody, and I mean nobody, stopped scrolling long enough to ask the obvious question. Why is this the joke that lives in your head? Why is this the scenario your brain reached for at 1 in the morning? Out of every joke you could make about being in a relationship, your subconscious handed you a scene where she is screaming and you are watching. And you typed it out. And you hit post. And you laughed. That is not a joke. That is a rehearsal. And I need you to sit with the word rehearsal because we are about to use it again. A rehearsal is a controlled environment where you practice the version of yourself you are not yet brave enough to be in public. Actors rehearse. Musicians rehearse. Surgeons rehearse. And people who are slowly negotiating with the worst version of themselves, baby, they rehearse too. They just call it humor. They just call it venting. They just call it edgy art. They post the thing. They watch the reaction. They count who laughed, who flinched, who unfollowed, who doubled down and called it iconic. And every laugh, every share, every quote tweet that says OMG so unhinged king, is a green light. A green light to take the rehearsal 1 degree closer to the real performance. You have heard that phrase before, right? Truth said in jest. We say it about our friends, our families, our coworkers. Somebody drops a line at the dinner table and the whole room laughs, and then later in the car you go, wait, were they actually being serious? That instinct, that little flicker in your gut, that is the one we keep ignoring online because everybody is performing all the time and we cannot tell the bit from the confession anymore. David weaponized that. He hid behind the bit. The bit was the camouflage. The bit was the alibi he was building in real time while we clapped. Now pair that with the second post. The duality of a public figure who is a sexual predator. He reposted that. Read that again slowly. He reposted a meme that literally used the word sexual predator in the title, and he framed it like he was the victim of fake duality, like he was the misunderstood artist whose pain was being weaponized against him. Meanwhile, in the other tab, on the other phone, in the other apartment, there is a 13-year-old with his name tattooed on her finger and an engagement ring she should not have been allowed to wear in any state in this country. Do you understand what he was doing? He was sitting in his own confession and using it as a coping mechanism. He was reposting the diagnosis. He was looking in the mirror, seeing what he was, and then editing the caption so that the mirror became a window. So that we were the ones with the problem. So that anyone in the comments who tried to point at him was a hater, was a weirdo, was projecting. Classic. Textbook. And it worked. For 2 years it worked. Let me show you another one. The post about being unbelievably powerful, creative, and full of love and light. I am going to stop being sad. I am going to start being unbelievably powerful, creative, and full of love and light. On its face, that is the kind of thing your auntie shares on Facebook with a sunset behind it. It is harmless. It is corporate spiritual girlboss energy. But put it next to the timeline. Put it next to the fact that during that exact window he was running back and forth between 2 minors in 2 different properties on Valentine's Day. Power. Power is the word that does the lifting in that post. Not love. Not light. Power. He was telling us what the high was. The high was control. The high was knowing. The high was having something nobody else knew about, walking into a room of grown adults, and being the only person who knew where the body was. Literally. Eventually. Literally. That is the difference between a person who is sad and a person who is sick. A sad person posts that meme because they want to feel better. A sick person posts that meme because feeling powerful is the addiction, and the love and light is the wrapper they put on the addiction so that you keep clapping. And before somebody comes in here and says, Tisa, you are reading too much into a quote post, hear me out one more time. People who study narcissistic and antisocial personality patterns will tell you the exact same thing. These individuals do not just lie about their behavior. They craft a parallel identity, in real time, in public, that is the photographic negative of who they actually are. The cruel one posts kindness. The unfaithful one posts loyalty. The predator posts protection. The thief posts generosity. It is not random. It is not aesthetic. It is camouflage. And it is so effective that even after the body drops, you still have fans in the comment section going, but he was so soft, he was so sensitive, he loved his fans. Yeah. Because the costume was that good. Because we never trained ourselves to look behind it. Now I want to talk about the part of his timeline nobody is breaking down properly, and this is where I have to slow down because this is the part that broke me. The Benson Boone post. He went out of his way, to post about defending another artist from hate. We spread love and positivity only. Be kind to my fan base. Be kind to him. Be kind, be kind, be kind. And on the surface that is sweet. That is community. That is what a healthy artist is supposed to do. But why did that post exist? Why that day? Why that energy? Why was a man who allegedly had a child fiancé in one room and another minor allegedly in another property suddenly the chief executive of online kindness culture? Because the kindness was the costume. The kindness was the alibi in advance. He was building a public ledger of nice. He was banking goodwill in case the day ever came, and that day did come, when the world would have to be told who he actually was. He was making sure that when you went back and scrolled, the first thing your finger landed on was not the boiling water joke. It was the kindness post. The love and light post. The Benson Boone post. So that your brain would go, wait, but he seemed so soft. He seemed so sweet. He seemed so harmless. That is not who he was. That is who he posted. There is a difference. And the difference is the entire crime. Let me give you one more piece of this puzzle because I do not want to leave it on the table. Think about every time a celebrity has been exposed for something horrific. Go back through the last 10 years in your head. R. Kelly. Diddy. Weinstein. Pick your case. Now go look at their socials, their interviews, their stage banter, the year before they got caught. You will find the same thing every single time. An aggressive, almost frantic pivot into kindness, into mentorship, into giving back, into spreading love. Why? Because the closer the truth gets to the surface, the louder the costume has to be. The louder the lie has to be performed. And David was not just performing the lie. He was performing the lie with rhinestones on it. With concert lighting. With a fan base that would scream the lie back to him in 3-part harmony every night of the tour. Let me hit you with the next layer, because we are not done. I want to pull up the post where he said, "I will tolerate no hate amongst my fan base." The word tolerate. That is the word. Tolerate is the word of a king. Tolerate is the word of a man who thinks he runs a kingdom. Tolerate is what you say when you have decided in your head that the people who listen to your music are your subjects and you grant or withhold their happiness. Read every public post he ever made through that lens and the pattern is the same. I will allow this. I will disallow that. I will permit. I will forbid. I will erase. Delete everything. Remember that stream. Delete everything. He said it on a live with her, his 13-year-old, sitting in the background, and when he caught himself, when the camera caught him, he said 3 words. Delete everything. Delete. Everything. That is not a man slipping up. That is a man with a button. That is a man who has used the button before. That is a man who knew, even then, that the day would come when he would need to wipe a hard drive, wipe a phone, wipe a stream, wipe a life. Wipe Celeste. And he could not even do that part right. 40 terabytes. 40 terabytes. They pulled 40 terabytes off this man's drives. You do not accumulate 40 terabytes of evidence by accident. You accumulate that on purpose. He was archiving. He was keeping. He was building a museum of himself, and the museum had a wing he could not bear to throw away even when the cops were closing in. Why? Why keep it? Why drive around with the body? Why hold on to the files? Because for him, it was art. I know that word is going to make people sick. I know that word is the most violent word I could use in this video. But I have sat with this case for months and I am telling you, in his head, the dismemberment, the trunk, the tour, the lyrics, the merch, the coffin walk on stage, the blood splatter on the fans, it was all one piece. He thought he was making a long-form performance and the world was the gallery and Celeste was the medium. That is the level of derangement we are talking about. Not panic. Not stupidity. Curation. And I know what some of you are thinking right now because I can already feel the comment section warming up. Tisa, that is too dark. Tisa, you are giving him too much credit. Tisa, he is a stupid little man who killed a girl and could not even take out the trash. And listen, I hear you. Part of me wants to believe that too. Part of me wants this to be a story about a clumsy criminal who tripped over his own ego. Because that version of the story is easier to sleep next to. That version of the story does not require us to ask how the people around him let it get this far. That version lets us point at one man and walk away. But the timeline, the merch, the lyrics, the curated drives, the meticulously chosen reposts. That is not clumsy. That is composed. And we have to be brave enough to look at the composition for what it is. Let me prove it to you. He literally said in old interviews that he desensitized himself to gore on purpose. On purpose. Not by accident, not because he stumbled onto bad parts of the internet as a kid, on purpose. He sat down, he loaded up the worst content human beings have ever uploaded, and he trained his nervous system out of flinching. That is not edgelord behavior. That is a person doing reps, that is a person getting ready to be in a room where most of us would pass out, and not pass out. Why would a normal 20-year-old need that skill? Why would a music artist need that skill? He was preparing the body. His own body. To be able to do something his own body, without training, would have refused to do. Now overlay that with the Celeste timeline. 2022, she is in his Discord, hi David Burke. 2022. She is 13 at most, possibly 12, deep in a man's adult fan server, calling him by name and being noticed. 2023, the parents post. My parents are so annoying, they will not let me go see you perform. And his answer. Don't worry, I'll fix it. 5 words. Don't worry, I'll fix it. That is the line. That is the line a grown man should never, ever be sending to a child who is telling him her parents are trying to keep her away from him. Because the parents are the wall. The parents are the guardrail. The parents are the only thing left between him and her. And he, a grown adult, sat at his phone and typed out, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." He fixed it. By April 2024 she was missing. By Valentine's of 2024 she had already been pulled into his orbit once. By summer of 2024 she was gone again. By September the Tesla was towed. By Christmas the world was still being told she ran away from home. Don't worry. I'll fix it. He fixed it. He fixed her parents out of the picture. He fixed her friends out of the picture. He fixed her school out of the picture. He fixed her body out of the picture. 5 words. 2 years. 1 life. And let me drive that point all the way home, because I do not want anybody walking out of this video thinking those 5 words were romantic. They were not romantic. They were a contract. They were a man, an adult man with a publicist, an adult man with a label, an adult man with a legal team on retainer, looking at a child's text message about her mother, and choosing to make himself the bigger authority in that child's life than her own parents. That is what grooming sounds like in text form. Not a love letter. Not a sweet little message. A contract. A handshake. A negotiation between a predator and a future. And nobody around him stopped it. That is the other half of this video, and I cannot end without going there because it would be a lie of omission. Everybody focusing on what is wrong with David is letting the room around David off the hook. That manager. That streamer. That inner circle of adults who watched a 13-year-old in Hello Kitty pajamas show up to the studio, show up to the apartment, show up to events with a handbag over her face so the cameras would not get her clean, and went, none of my business. Don't worry about it. Tour money is coming in. Streams are up. Numbers look good. Don't rock the boat. Don't lose the bag. Don't ask. Because once you ask, you have to answer, and once you answer, you have to act. Robin River, shout out to Robin River. 27th of February 2024. Robin River put up the post. Waiting for LAPD to get your ass for messing with a 13-year-old. Days. Days after the first time Celeste came back home and slipped right back out the door to meet him on Valentine's Day. Somebody knew. Somebody said it out loud. Somebody put his government name and the words 13-year-old in the same sentence on a public app. And nothing happened. The machine kept moving. The streams kept counting. The tour kept selling. The label kept cashing. And David kept posting kindness memes. You want to know what is wrong with him? Nothing was wrong with him that the people around him did not allow to keep being wrong. He was not a hidden monster. He was a publicly available monster. He was in the menu. He was on the front page. He was reposting his own pathology, in his own words, with his own face attached, and the entire ecosystem looked at it, gave it a like, queued up the next song, and kept it pushing. That is not a justice system failure. That is a culture failure. That is what happens when we have decided as a society that anything labeled as a joke, as a meme, as edgy art, gets a free pass straight through every defense mechanism our gut was supposed to give us. And that is why I had to make this video tonight, because I am tired. I am tired of grown people in my comments going, well, he seemed so quiet, he seemed so sweet, he seemed so misunderstood. Baby. He told you. He told you for 2 straight years. He told you in the joke about the boiling water. He told you in the duality of a sexual predator repost. He told you in the don't worry I'll fix it message. He told you in the delete everything stream. He told you in the 40 terabytes. He told you in the coffin on stage. He told you in the gore desensitization interview. He told you in the engagement ring on a 13-year-old's finger. You did not miss the signs. The signs were not subtle. The signs were billboards. We just decided that billboards do not count if the billboard has a beat under it and the artist has good lighting and a fan base willing to call you a hater for asking the obvious question. So here is the part where I beg you, because I am out of professional voice tonight, I am going to use my real voice. Trust the bad feeling. The next time you are scrolling and somebody you follow posts a joke that lands a little too close to a real scenario, the next time the comments are laughing and your stomach is not, the next time the bit feels less like a bit and more like a man practicing his lines, save the post. Screenshot it. Date it. Believe your gut before the gut has to be confirmed by a body in a trunk. The girl in this story does not get a second chance. The next girl might, but only if the people watching the next David decide that this time, they are going to say it out loud while the boiling water joke is still just a joke. Because the next David is already out there. He is posting right now. He is testing the room. He is dropping the joke that is actually a rehearsal. He is checking your reaction. He is counting your laughs. He is banking your silence. He is reading every single quote tweet, every single sub-tweet, every single muted reply, and he is calibrating. He is learning what he can get away with. He is learning what we are willing to swallow if it is wrapped in a beat, a meme, a thumbnail, a stage light. He is making a list. And he is waiting to see if you specifically, the person scrolling past, will say something, or will scroll. The mirror is on his timeline. The reflection is right there. Look at it. Believe what you see. And do not let another Celeste become another body in another car in another city while the algorithm pushes us the next song. Now I have to wrap this because YouTube is going to demonetize me into next year if I keep going, and I have got 2 other videos sitting on my desktop that I cannot post yet because of the rules, but listen. Hear me when I say this. If you got something out of this one, share it. Send it to the person you know who still thinks David just snapped. Send it to the person who still thinks the panic theory is the answer. Send it to the parent who follows a young rising artist and has that little feeling in their stomach that something about the comment section is not right. Forward it. Drop it in the group chat. Let it travel. Because the only thing that beats a public confession that we all ignored is a public conversation that we refuse to let die. I am Tisa, this has been Tisa Tells, and tomorrow if I can get the editing software to behave I am dropping the Ponzalo deep dive that I could not upload, plus an update on the inner circle around David that you guys have been begging me to break down. Subscribe, hit the bell, leave me your thoughts in the comments. Tell me which post on his timeline made your stomach drop the hardest. Tell me which one your gut warned you about and you ignored. Tell me which one you are still trying to unsee. Tell me the one that, the second I described it, made you side-eye somebody on your own follow list. Tell me whose name flashed in your head while I read these posts. I am not publishing names, but I see every comment, and I am reading them tonight before I sleep. Because we are going to keep dragging this man through the daylight until the trial starts, and then we are going to drag him through the daylight some more. Justice may be delayed. Justice may be polite. Justice may be slow. But baby, in this comment section, justice is loud. Stay loud for me, okay? I will talk to y'all later on. Bye.